Hello, welcome back to my video blog where I've been using DirectX 11 and C++ to make a game engine as a universal Windows platform application. And what I really wanted to have working for this video was shadows. That was the goal I'd set myself for this video, to be able to show off working shadows, or shadow mapping as it's called. And as you can probably see, unfortunately there are no shadows in my scene at the moment, but there are a couple other things, so I'll talk about those, and I guess I'll mention why I didn't quite manage to meet my goal of getting shadows in for this week. So one of the reasons that I really wanted to get shadows working for this video is because it's not actually included as a lesson in the tutorial series I've been following. So if you've seen the previous videos at all, you'll know that I've been using directxtutorial.com. And yeah, so I guess, because it's not part of those tutorials, it was a bit of a challenge. And I guess, it's almost like removing the training wheels when you're not following a tutorial series anymore. But I guess the first reason it hasn't quite worked out for this video is I actually haven't had too much time to spend on it this past week. So I'm actually in the process of moving country, so a lot of my time has gone into packing and such. But it is what it is. Part of this series was also that I wanted there to be some reflection on just how long these things take, and sometimes it is going to be faster, sometimes it is going to be slower. So in this case, it was pretty slow because I've had to do packing and such. But I'd say the other main reason is that it's actually quite a bit harder than you might expect to go out on your own after leaving a tutorial series. And it's sort of a similar problem that I used to encounter when studying mathematics, is that sometimes when you're reading through how to do a problem, or you're reading through a tutorial series, you're reading it, everything makes sense, you can follow the steps, so it kind of feels like you understand it, and you think you're ready to go out on your own, but you realize quite quickly that without the tutorial series, you kind of need a much stronger understanding of some of the basic concepts. So yeah, I'd set out to do shadow mapping, and I was looking at a lot of content online, but one of the problems, which again stems from not having a full understanding of everything you've done up to a certain point, is that everyone implements, this stuff, the DirectX game engines, in different ways, and so, if you've just got an understanding of one way of doing things and that's it, you're going to struggle to really take advantage of the full resources of the internet, and the fact that lots of people have done this before. There's lots of resources out there, but if you're, as I said, if you're stuck with one way of doing things and that's the only way you're not taking full advantage of that. So yeah, I had this realization that my understanding wasn't quite there to really make this step to shadow mapping and texture mapping. So mapping 2D images was actually something I'd seen in one example as prerequisite you should do before shadow mapping. So yeah, I decided with time limitations as well, I didn't have much time this week, to take a step back and look at some texture mapping, and this was part of the tutorial series. So what you can see is that I've attached 2D textures to everything. So the fence post looking thing has a hello world. The box now has my avatar. You can see the lighting is still there. We've now got a ground and a 2D lizard that I decided to draw in paint. And there's also some updates to the camera movement. I've just added an up and down just to give a little bit more flexibility with the camera. But I did actually have some success outside of the tutorial series. So after doing the texture mapping, I had a go at introducing a second type of lighting. So in the tutorial series, you just add something called directional lighting or diffuse lighting. But now we have specular lighting, which is related to lighting that hits a surface and reflects into the camera, essentially. And it's a little hard to see it with shapes like these. I think for a more spherical shape, it would be easier to see. But that actually took quite a bit of time, playing around with the shader, the vertex shader in particular. It's not in the DirectX tutorial series, as I said, so I've actually got this book. It's 3D game programming. Frank DeLuna. His books are pretty popular for this kind of thing. There are other, a couple other sites which I used to help, but yeah. So as far as I'm aware, there's definitely potential that it's not quite perfect. But as far as I'm aware, I have specular lighting, which was not part of the tutorial series, so it's kind of a success. I don't have shadow mapping, but we have extra lighting. We've moved slightly away from the tutorial series, and hopefully next week or whenever I produce the next video, as I said, things are going to be pretty busy still as I'm moving country in a few days' time. But yeah, maybe for the next video we will have shadow mapping. So thanks for watching, and as with the last video, I've included a link to my GitHub profile where you can find the source code for the project. I might have said last time there's a bit of a disclaimer that it's obviously not going to be perfect DirectX C++ code. I'm not super experienced with either of them, but it's there if you wanted to have a look and just see how I've implemented things, and I'm sure it will change over time as well, in terms of the structure of the code. Every now and then I take a bit of time to just reorganize things a little bit to make it a little bit cleaner. But yeah, it's there, and thank you for watching. Hopefully see you next time.